Welcome Earthlings back to another episode of Earth to Rocco. Today we're making our own homemade falafels. Falafels can be made with chickpeas or fava beans and they're super high in protein and fiber. You can make them into a sandwich and naan bread, put them on a salad, or just eat them by themselves. Falafels are one of my favorite foods to eat.
You always say that. You got so many favorite foods and you're skinny.
Wow. Making your own falafels just takes a little bit of planning, but you can make a really large batch and store it in the freezer. When you warm it up, it's just like eating them fresh. In some places around the world, falafels are even a really popular street food. Because they're easy to eat, delicious, you can take them on the go, and great with any kind of dipping sauce.
Let's get falafeling.
Let's get falafeling?
Yeah.
Okay. The main ingredient for our falafel are chickpeas. I use dried chickpeas and soak them overnight. It's better to use dried chickpeas versus canned chickpeas because dried chickpeas will give your falafels a much better texture and you have a lot more control over the flavor. So the first thing we need to do is strain our chickpeas. Now that they're strained, I'm going to pat them dry to remove any excess liquid. Everything we need to make our falafels is going to go into a food processor. So first we'll start with the chickpeas. We'll put some onion, garlic. We're going to put in lots of parsley. You don't have to chop it super finely because it's all going to get chopped up in the food processor. Some cilantro, fresh dill, ground cumin, ground coriander, a little bit of ground cardamom, some cayenne pepper, salt, black pepper, and this is optional, but I'm going to use some baking powder. And the baking powder is going to make the falafels a lot more light and fluffy. Now we're going to blend everything together. Okay, let's see how it is. The texture is perfect. It's sticking together and it's still a bit crumbly. Just make sure when you're mixing it, you don't overmix and puree it. Now we're going to transfer this to a large mixing bowl. I'm now just going to cover this and put it in the fridge for about 15 minutes. That's to let it set so that when we form the balls, everything holds together well. So now that our mixture has been set in the refrigerator, we can start forming the falafels. Use a 1.5 tablespoon cookie scooper and scoop out some of the mixture. Now I'm just going to press it down with my hands. And now we have our perfect size falafel. I'm just going to start putting these on a baking tray lined with parchment paper.
What do you call a chickpea that fell over?
What?
A falafel. Because it fell. It fell and it feels awful. The chickpea is now a falafel.
Sure.
Okay, if you gotta explain it, it wasn't funny.
Now that the falafels have been formed, you can bake them right away. The traditional way to make falafels is to fry them, so that's what we're going to be doing. While I'm heating up the oil, I'm just going to keep these in the fridge for about half an hour. That's a fail-safe way to ensure that your falafels don't fall apart when they hit the oil. Our falafels are now ready to fry. I've heated about an inch of oil to 350 degrees Fahrenheit in a deep pan. Now we'll start to drop the falafels in, making sure to not overcrowd the pan. Once the falafels have browned, you can move them over to a cooling rack or a baking sheet lined with paper towel. So I'm just gonna put some salt on them and then fry up the next batch. There's nothing like a homemade falafel. They're fresh, they're light, and the flavors of the herbs come out in every bite. Hey, that rhymed. Thank you for joining me in creating another naturally vegan recipe. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with my latest vegan recipes. Head on over to earth2rocco.com for the ingredients and instructions for today's falafels and more. That's a wrap.